Hello, everybody. I wanted to talk a little bit about co-parenting and how it's a very difficult thing to do. You sometimes have a lot of possessive parents, either the mother or the father, either or, wanting to spend most of their time with their children, which I understand. But it needs to be a mutual understanding. Now, what I really want to implement is that unfortunately, co-parenting needs to be more or less like your best friend, where you guys are hanging out, talking almost every day. How are you doing? Because your mental state determines my child's mental state. So we cannot neglect that fact, okay? If your baby daddy, baby mama, whoever you want to, discuss this with, if their mental state is not up to par, your child's mental state will not be up to par. So if, for example, if my baby daddy, my personal experience is that one of my baby daddies is an alcoholic. He definitely suffers from depression for many, many years. At this point, the disease has taken over him, and I don't like making excuses for myself, so I can't therefore make excuses for him. um, there's always an excuse, and so I'm gonna let him own that on his own. I have tried to be his friend, so now at this point I can't have a friendship with somebody who does not want to change, right? That's why you let go of negative people in your life, because they will affect you and they will bring you their problems. All right, so this is why you need to separate yourselves from their problems, but also know that this is a direct impact on your child. So what I have done is, because my son has gotten to an early state, an older state, and he's coming into his teenage years, I have to be very careful that his mental state is now not going under, not picking up his father's depression and habits as well. So what happens when one of the parents and the one that suffers from any mental illnesses are possessive? At this point, I am learning that you have to have custody, because that is the only way that you can make sure, guarantee that your child will not suffer from something. I heavily believe that we learn behaviors. I believe that depression is learned. I have not met somebody who has a happy family home and suffered from depression, with the exception of people who want to feel pity and victimize themselves at all times. That in itself is a disease, but that's technically sometimes a cry for attention. Not knowing your root problems will cause you to be that type of person. Of course, I'm not talking about directly everybody, but this is very, very, very over the board and a lot of generalizations from my experience. My depression, causes me to overeat, causes me to become very lazy, procrastination, and not meet my goals, while other people will, you know, retaliate on relationships, retaliate on other people, damage other people, and or damage themselves. I've learned that self-sacrificing guilty pleasures is a way to overcome depression. So the moment I crave a bad food, I know that if I go into that bad food, that will lead me to another bad decision and spiral out of control. I've caught myself several times. I'm a very cold turkey addiction cutting person, meaning from one day to the next, I can cut a bad addiction. And if I choose to keep the addiction, is because I'm choosing to fuck up. And not everybody is this strong, and I do notice that. So if I have strong habits to cut bullshit, and my ex-partner has strong habits of keeping bullshit, my son has a half and half percentage of picking one or the other. So I'm very conscious of this, that he is not a weak-blooded person. In the other instance, he is actually he has the choice to pick one or the other, but he will pick whatever he sees fit to cause more attention for himself, to be the laziest, because children by default sometimes are very lazy. And I myself were one of them. I didn't want to shower, I didn't want to eat healthy, I wanted to play outside with my friends. I never did my homework. I didn't have the best supervision. But with a parent who is suffering from depression, there's not a lot of supervision there. The parent is, for the most part, focused on themselves at the moment and not focused that there's somebody looking at them. So co-parenting in 2019 has become very, very difficult. As a matter of fact, this is not talking about the money. Money is so irrelevant to raising a child. Money can be found for anything. You can manifest money in any moment. What it is actually important is the mental state of your child and how they're going to take care of themselves in the future. You have to remember that if you don't want to suffer in the long run in the future, you have so many parents, grandparents, oh, my child never became anything, my child suffers from this. I really want to enjoy my adulthood, my elderly state. I really want to be calm and collected, knowing that I raised suitable men who are positively focused on their own goals, and they're positively always seeking a higher mental state, right? So it's always selfish. For the self, I'm seeking peace in the future. Therefore, I need to make sure that my child is in a great mental state now, not in the future trying to correct something that, is gone too far. So, co-parenting 101, the strongest thing, you have to forgive your exes for whatever it is they did, reach a mutual ground, and learn that you need to have a close relationship with them. So right now, one of my baby daddies, I make sure that I call him every day. How you doing? Everything's fine. How's everything going? What's the dinner for today? Even if I'm not going to be there, what is my son eating? Did he do his homework? He got stung by a bee the other day. Okay, I want to know that too. Every little small detail, the same when he's with me, every positive, negative detail. He pulled a tantrum today, or he was very happy today to be with his brother and myself. We cooked together. We talked about you. We missed you while, you were playing, having your time off without our son. These little details matter, and not for anything, but your child is watching how you act with your exes, and how that will govern how they will act with their future exes. And we don't want these petty, women and men in the future retaliating on their exes, because that's what they saw growing up. So I'm going to start having a lot of parenting videos and how this evolves into other things. In the meantime, having a conversation with my son, like if they're adults, works. Children are not children. Children don't like to be treated like children. Children should be protected, but they should be treated as adults, because that's what they are. They are small, young adults that can't fend for themselves at the moment, but that will eventually at one point. So co-parenting, new trick is to make sure you engage with your exes a lot. If they have another new spouse, make amends with that person. If you don't like them, it's not for you to like, it's for that person is an opposite of who you are, because obviously if they were an exact you, then you would still be with your ex. So you need to take these things into perspective. I've learned that a lot of new partners are jealous of great relationship with their current person who is your past ex, and you need to relax them. Let them know that you're not here to take them back, that you're here to mend the relationship and be a complete family. This is not poly, we're not going to have a threesome or anything like that, but that you will definitely be engaged with their day-to-day life, because that's what they signed up for, right? And so they need to be accountable for that and held responsible to be able to emotionally take that as well. If they're not, you give them their peace and you let them know that you're still going to be involved, because there's a mutual interest in between that cannot be neglected, because their emotional state is weak. And so these are new things that I'm learning. I'm going to be posting new videos on parenting, on co-parenting, and how it evolves in my life, and hopefully it could help you in this new year. And remember, one key thing mutual is the children. Your emotional and guilt and grudge And all of these things are your problem. They are not your children's problems, and your children should not have to suffer from that. Okay? Have a good day. Just Lovely on Instagram. God Just Lovely on Instagram. Please be able to buy my book, Unspeakable Words, on Amazon. And have yourself a great day.